Thank you, Sam.
Um, so I was thinking, Tom, some people in life uh, appear to be very happy, very successful, and they're doing a lot of like personal development work, and maybe they're even teaching it. And I'm going to use an example of someone because it's someone well known who everyone would have heard of. And so somebody like Tony Robbins, um, who has many, many attributes he's developed, but I don't think my perception is he's not a liberated being in the sense that, well, really because he doesn't talk about it. He doesn't talk about self-realization. So the question is really about, and it really stems from this book, Michael Langford's book, where he talks about how the ego uses so many ways to um, not actually see the self. So I'm wondering if some people have developed kind of like super egos where they've got so many attributes and I'm not and they're really good people in the world in that sense, but they're still operating as body, mind um entities. So I'm just wondering if there's like I mean I think it's to use the word good, a good thing to develop these attributes and to be able to communicate more effectively, maybe run businesses well and help lots of people and do all these virtuous things in the world. But I'm still wondering why it is, because they do seem to be quite okay with life. They're managing in so many ways whatever they're up to. Um, so yeah, I just appreciate your insights on that.
Thank you, Piers. Thank you. It's a great question. The simple answer, which is not 100%, well, the simple answer is that they're suffering. I'm not talking about any particular person, but the people who are not liberated, self-liberated, again, really, there is no such thing as self-liberated, self-realized person. But again, talking on that level, anyone who's not self-realized, they're suffering. And these people who appear to have everything together and be very happy and they know what to do in every situation, they're very confident. If they're not self-realized, then they're still suffering. And many of these people, and we talk about I talk about the false teachings sometimes. I can feel these teachers sometimes, and again, I'm not talking about any particular person. I'm not talking about the person you're referring to necessarily, it appears. I can feel the suffering in them. I can feel the suffering. When there's no suffering in you, it's easy to see in other people. As your suffering lessens and lessens, as your suffering lessens and lessens, you'll start to see suffering in people that they can't even see in themselves. They might say, "Oh, no, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm absolutely fine." But you can see they're not. Maybe before you couldn't see that, but as you suffer less and less, as you become more peaceful, you start to see people suffering more and more. So these people who are not self-realized, they're suffering. They might have found lots of ways to reduce suffering, but don't believe the appearance that's projected. It is easier than you think for some people. Maybe not for you, but for some people, it's easier than you think to sit up on a stage and project success and happiness. Some people, that comes very naturally to them. Do you know who Bill Murray is? The actor,
Yeah,
comedic.
yeah,
He does a lot of comedies, doesn't he?
yeah.
Bill Murray, he was in that film Groundhog Day. And there's a joke that I came across by him quite recently. He said, I'm not sure if I'm a really good actor or if I'm just a great liar, which I thought was quite funny. And some people, they're very good at projecting success and happiness. Like, for example, I've seen on YouTube, I've seen videos like, I don't know, how to stop suffering. And then when I listen to the person speak, I can just feel the suffering. I've seen teachers who are talking and then I can just feel their suffering. So now some people might not be suffering. You ask them, then, like, for example, um, there was something I saw recently. It was basically, it was quite something quite difficult to watch, actually. It was quite upsetting. It was someone having a psychotic, someone just basically quite psychotic, and they're quite manic. So they had a lot of energy and they were ranting and raving about things that are clearly not true. But they were happy. They were happy. And I think it was in a video, I think it was on YouTube or something. And one of the comments said, "Gosh, I'd love to be that person because they seem so happy in their delusion, you know?" So sometimes delusion can, for a while, temporarily, make us immune to suffering. So it is possible to work yourself up or get yourself into such a place where you are deluded to the extent that you are highly egotistical and not suffering in that moment. But unfortunately, as they say, karma's a bitch. But when I say karma's a bitch, what do I mean? I mean that the seeds of suffering, the root cause of suffering hasn't been uprooted. So it's going to come in the future, unfortunately. I wish it didn't. If it didn't come in the future, then you could just do that. You could be a self-enclosed narcissist. You can have a psychotic breakdown and you wouldn't have to suffer. But unfortunately, at some future time, you will reap. You'll reap what has been sown. I won't say you reap what you sow, but you reap what has been sown. And the only way out is through self-increase, self-realization, self-attention, silence, bhavan, ramana, guru. On another level, you see, one of the things, one of the great privileges I have, one of my great privileges is to do this. Yeah, this is a great privilege. Great privilege for me to be able to sit here and do this with you, to be here with you all. Another privilege I have is as a medical doctor, which is another great privilege in the sense that I get to, as a doctor, you get to see aspects of people's lives that other people don't always see, right? Another doctor in the room, that's all. About to you. Um, and then you get to see, I've over the years, you know, I've been a doctor for 20 years now. And you get to see, I've met many famous people. Many famous people have been my patient. Being a doctor in London, you get to see their lives. And quite early on, I started to realize that people's lives aren't always as happy as you think they are. And we see this all around us in the media things. So that's answering on that level. On the other level, I'd encourage you not to worry about other people and too much. Come back to yourself. But that is answering the question as it was put to me. How does that
That's a
sit with
great
you?
answer. No, I appreciate that. It's answered it very succinctly for me.